Thank you all for joining us in our webinar today. I hope you're all having a great day. I'm Felix Robert, working as the Customer Success Manager for Zoho Commerce, and I help business owners with setting up their online store and making sure our product helps them to increase their customer base and organize the business to simplify complex operations. The topic for today is creating a storefront. Now, this would be a continuation to our Getting Started with Zoho Commerce webinar, where we saw how to create a store. Now, as a continuation to that particular webinar, we are going to talk about the visual side of creating a store, the storefront, where the end user is going to interact with you, how to visually make it more appealing for them. So let's discuss about the different options that are available with commerce in order to achieve this. That being said, please be informed that we will have time for questions at the end of the session. I would read out each question and answer them one at a time. That being said, let's immediately jump into the demo part. So we need a reference. We need to know what is it that the end goal for today's session. Now here's what we are going to try and replicate in our store. So here's a store that we have built already. Here's how it looks for the end user. Now this is what we are going to try and replicate, and while doing it we are also going to see the different options that are available in order to get this done, which you can apply on your own design and create your own designs with the same options. So here's where we left in our previous webinar. So back to the dashboard section. So we started off a quick recap. So we started off by entering in our store information, and then we chose a template that works for us. We added our products, and then we saw how to publish a commerce site. And then we saw the different settings that are available in shipping, taxes, as well as payments. We also saw a glimpse on the different settings that are available. But today, mostly we'll be working on the site builder. That is the storefront part. Now, when I select store builder, I would immediately land up in the template that we have chosen. So while creating the store, we chose a template that worked for us. So we are right there now. So based on the template, it has a banner image, which again has multiple slides, and it has ready-made stuff in there. We have multiple sections. Now to familiarize with how editing this site is going to be, or the different options that are there, we need to get familiarized with a certain set of terminologies. So we have sections. So first, the slides that I have, the banner slides that I have here, are part of a particular section, and below which I have the second section where all products are part of that section. And third, we have footer, which is again another section. All right, so we have a total of 3 sections, and within this section we have different elements. So in this section, I have multiple elements as such. And in this particular section, we have the all products as an element. If it is confusing, you need not worry. So while we are working on it, you would have a better idea of what is it that I'm trying to convey, right? So first of all, in the current section, I'm going to delete the things that I don't need. And this particular banner is what I'm trying to create. Now, so selecting a particular section, not just if you select any part of this builder, the site builder, you would immediately be presented with certain options, right? So which pertain for that particular section. Now, when I click on this particular banner, I have a pop-up with a set of options that I can change, one of which being changing the image. Now when I click on the image section, it takes me to the library page where I have no images added yet. which is something that I can easily fix using the upload option. Selecting the drop down, I have two options with which I can upload the images. The first upload option, what it does is it allows you to pick files from your system and it optimizes those images and then adds them. You can also skip the optimization part and then use the second step as well. Here the images will not be optimized and then you can simply upload it just the way it is. Here I'm going to upload not just the image for the banner but all the images which I would eventually be using. So all the images that I'm going to use in the site are getting uploaded, which would also include the logo. And while uploading the images, I'm also optimizing it by choosing the first option. Right, that being done, I'm selecting the banner. Let's select save. Right, so the banner image is there. The rest of the options that I have in this particular element is when I click on it, I get the background type. So it's an image. If in case if I don't want an image, if I'm going to simply show in background color, in that case I would select a solid color, which would again give me options like what color that I need. Here I'm sticking with an image. If in case if I want to add a video, even that is possible using the background video option. And we also have the background theme. Now to understand theme, let's say that I have a dark background. If I'm going to have a text or a header inside a dark background which is also dark, in that case it makes it very hard for the end users to read it. So here selecting an option like light text on dark background will make sure that the text is in a light color, and the next option is the simply vice versa of it. So most of the options that you're going to see in the pop-up are going to be straightforward, easy to understand options. It's very rare that you might find some options to be confusing. I'm going to try and decode few of them here, and it is going to be time consuming to go through each option, so I'm going to skip the ones that I believe are straightforward and easy to understand, right? So if in case if you find any of these options to need more explanation though, you can get back to me in the question section, or you can send me an email and we would probably try and add that to the webinar content as well. Right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is we have the overlay. So that's the reason why the image is blurred, and what I'm going to do is remove the overlay, bring the image to the foreground. Now if in case so for this, what I'm going to talk about right now is for the developers. So developers who are well familiarized or like they have good knowledge on HTML and CSS, they can customize this store even further. If they want to throw in their own flair into the design, they can also use the custom CSS section where they can create a class and then simply add in their own CSS content. For a regular user, and the idea behind this particular webinar is to make sure like to create a store where we are not going to touch into the custom CSS part at all. We are going to only create a store with what we have in hand, all these options that are available in the UI, no coding involved. Right, so I have done that. The next thing that I'm going to do is click on the arrow mark, right, so which takes me to the hero slider option, which can also be done from here. And then we have the general section. It gives me how the slides are to be handled, so how the transition takes place, like what is the interval in which the next slide is going to be displayed, how the controller is going to look, how the design elements of that particular controller, the arrow marks, or should it be a enclosure. Mostly they look just like the same, it's just a preference, right? So all these options are here, just the visual elements of it. I can make those changes here. In this case, I don't need multiple slides. I'm just going to stick with just one banner ad. So I'm going to remove the rest, stick with just one. Now you get the idea. So clicking on an element is going to give you a pop-up where you're going to make those changes. As simple as that. So here, I'm going to add a content. So I'm going to add a heading here, drag it to the top left. Right, so that's the heading. Now when I add a text, right, so selecting the text now also again gives me a pop-up. So here towards the right, I'm going to align how the text is going to look. So is the text to be aligned towards the left or centered or towards the right, and also the heading style. And we also have the text option where we can change the typography. So I can change the pixel size, the color, and all these options from here. And I can choose the background. I can set up a border. I can also set a shadow effect if that's needed. And also I can decide what should be the spacing. Now when I'm talking about spacing, I'm talking about this particular element, what's been boxed, and the space that is needed between this particular element and the parent element. So that's what we call padding as well as margin. So that again can be monitored from the spacing section. So the next step in the process is animation. So if I need any animation as such, I can do it from here. And also we of course have the custom CSS option as well for each and every element. Now that being done, the next thing that I'm going to do is add one more element inside the section, which is going to be a button. And when I click on the button, again I'm going to align the button towards the left and call it Shop Now. So I'm not worried about the green color. So the overall color scheme of the store can be changed at the end from Visual Editor. We would also see that at the end of the session. And in order to add a link, I would select the link section and add the link. So when a user selects Shop Now, he would be redirected to this particular link. Again, we have the same set of options for each and every element that is added to a section. Right. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do here is we have the banner created. The next on the list is like we are going to show a collection, followed by which we are going to have a banner ad once again. Now to show the second collection, what I'm going to do here is I'm just deleting this element for now, and I'm adding a. So when I click on add, I'm getting these set of options once again. From here, I'm going to select collections this time. Now instead of all products, I'm going to select spring sale. Right after the banner, I have my spring sale selection displayed. Right, so the next thing, so here one thing that has to be noted is, so when I select, like we already had a section, so I'm just adding replacing the element which was there inside this section. So the entire thing right after the banner all the way up to my footer, the entire container is considered as a section, just has the name, and within this section I have the spring sale element added inside, right? Or element or collection added inside. So based on our site that we are trying to replicate, the next thing that I'm going to do is add an additional banner. Now the thing that I have to say here is like I'm not adding an element within a section, I'm adding a new section first, and within this section I have this particular banner created. Let's see how this particular section and banner is created, which I guess might clarify a lot of doubts you might have right now. So when I click on a photo or anywhere else from where I've been working right now, and when at the end of the previous section I get an option which says add section, I'm adding a new section, and then I'm going to, so only when you're adding a new section you get the sections option with the set of options that you have. So here I'm going to select elements and then choose a row. I'm just creating a row inside here, and this particular row, when I click on it, I have the ratio option as well. I'm going to split this row into 3, right? So when I split it into 3, I get 3 different options within this row. So what I've done here again is I've added a new element, clicked on elements, selected a row. Once I did that, when I have created a row, I have split the row into 3. And each of these can again be customized. So here when I click on it, I'm going to select an image. So click on the next page content, click on an image. So here I'm going to change the image, select mags, change the image, select shoes from the library that I've already uploaded. Here I'm adding a heading first. Right, once I've added it, so right when I'm working on this particular element, I have a pop-up here where I can make some changes to that particular element, right? So I'm changing it to heading 4, making it smaller. The higher or lesser the number, the heading is going to be bigger, and I'm aligning it towards the left. So I can also change the heading style if needed. So here I've added an underline at the first word using the option decorative underline at the beginning of the text. And then I'm adding a additional heading at the very next line, which would be this Valentine's 50% off. Let's see how that is done. Right. So the content is in heading 2, which is what I'm going for, and here instead of here we have a symbol in there, right? So I'm going for emojis. Yeah, we have one here, and let's also color it. Going into standard, selecting red, and also make sure the pixel size of it. Right, that's bigger. and again I'm going to add one more element as such. So here I'm going to provide a coupon code for the users, and this is not going to be a heading, it's going to be a paragraph. And let's provide a code. Right. I've also changed the size of it. Right, so we have managed to do something similar to this, but it hasn't been differentiated from the rest of the page. Right, so I'm going to create a background solid color. Right, so currently the background theme as such, but need not worry, we would change it later from the visual editor section, and should be okay. So here's how the light text and dark background option works. Right, so that part is done, and we would eventually change this color a little later. And the next thing that we're going to do is add in another collection in there, the featured collection, and then followed by we are going to add in all products. Let's see, that's going to be straightforward at the moment. All we have to do is add the section, go into collections, select featured first. So at the moment, like, we haven't added any items to our featured collection. We can go ahead and do that as well. Go into collection once again, add in all products. Right, so these are two different elements or collections inside the same section. Right, so I'm not creating a new section in there. Right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is create a testimonies section, which would have an image fixed, create this nice effect, parallax effect. Right, so let's see how that is done. Right, so again, just because I'm going to create a new section, selecting the add section option, when I go down, right, so we have a different image in there. It's not a problem. And at the moment, like, I'm not changing the text. Like, you by now you must have a fair idea of like how that is done. So the one step that we need in order to make sure that the image at the background is fixed, and we are just moving the image on top, or the section on top over that image, is by making sure when you click on the section, we have the option which says attachment fixed. Now, just because the image at the bottom at the background is fixed, we are just overlaying, or like it creates this parallax effect. Again, the back on the just here we have a top layer which is in a blue color, which again can be changed from the visual editor. Again, we're going to do that as well. So the rest of the things and the things that we need to do are create a newsletter option, and also create the different options of the background, different hyperlinks to other pages, which can be easily done. I'm going to edit the footer now. Here, even before editing the footer, I need to add one more section. Sorry about that. So here we have the newsletter option. It's just a section, we can simply add that in there. So similarly, a lot of pre-built sections are available, which you can simply directly use. You don't have to make some changes in there. Most of the commonly used visual elements inside the sites, we find a way in which we can give it as a section, reducing the time taken to get a store built. So the last option again is like editing the footer right now. So what I'm trying to do here is add an image, the logo, and followed by which have different options laid out. Right, so first I'm adding in an image. Let's change the image to the logo that we have, and followed by which I'm going to add in one more line in there. Here it's going to be a heading. I'm going to copy in the content. Now when you're copying a content from one location to the other, what happens is the inherent properties that were there also gets copied over here, which might be bad as well. So what I would suggest is to copy it to a different location first, or notepad, and then copy the content here. So, and I'm going to align this. To the middle. That would do it. And we're going to add one more line for our copyright information. Or it can also be just a paragraph instead. Right. So now the next thing to do is make hyperlinks out of each option here. Now when I highlight a particular section, I can now add in a hyperlink. So when users select on this option, they would be redirected to a different section. Right. So that's how it works. Now the next thing that I need to do is change the background type. Select a color. I'm trying to make it more uniform throughout. Let's make the text color black. So we have the text color in here. quickly changing it back to black. Right, so uniformly we have the same black and white theme going on. Right, so hopefully we have replicated most of it. So the next thing that we need to know is how to add a logo. Now, to add a logo and to customize the options at the top, right, so we don't need the home contact options at the top, so we are going to remove them as well. To do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going back to the store, going into the settings option. So first I have to change the menus, and then so when I go into settings, we have the menus option. So here I can remove the options that I don't need, and I can also rearrange options if needed. So terms and conditions, I'm just showing the store menu. In this case, the store menu is the options that I've created, or the different collections that I have. Right, so that's done. Now, similarly, we have site settings, where we have preferences. Now, inside preferences, we can either show or hide the logo. So here I'm going to show the logo. Let's refresh once again. Oh, I haven't saved it yet, I'm sorry. By selecting the logo now, I can change it to my own logo. Right, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to the visual editor section of it. Right, so here I have generalized settings. So we have the presence. So these are the different colors that different options are showing up. For example, shop now is showing in green because I have chosen this particular presence. Like each of this color is for a particular menu type, or it could be a text and so on. So here I'm going to provide with custom values, and also to show what are the different options that are, and like what does it each mean. Right, so we have the site primary color, so it's called a site primary, and I'm going to change it to something else. So I'm changing it to black. So we normally are going for a black themed site, mostly predominantly black. And then the next thing is we're going to change it to 333. It's not black, dark black, but somewhere there. So it's the secondary color that we're talking about here. Now, instead of green, it's now showing up in black. So we have the third color, default color. Normally it's not used much nowadays. If no options are selected, in that case, like we would default to this particular color. So the next option, which is quadra, is nothing but light background color. Here I'm going to select a color that my own liking. And then I'm going to choose a border color. I'm going to leave it to be the same. And then I'm going to choose text color. I'm changing all the text to black once again. Not black, some bluish black. Now the last two options are link colors. So any hyperlinks would be displayed in these colors. So one is for hyperlink when it comes to a dark background. One is hyperlink when it comes to light background. So this is to match the site colors. Right, so here again I can also change the header. Right, so in this case I'm going to change the header to something else to match what I want. So we have multiple themes from which I can choose. So I want the header changed in this particular format. And we also have a certain set of options again, and most of these are easy to understand, so I'm going to skip them over. Right, so here the product listing is in a way that the image is there, and below which we have the different options. Now I can also make some changes in here. So to match the other site, I already know that like I have to choose the third option, so which is what I'm trying to do here. So accordingly, now we have the image followed by the description and then the price, just like how I've selected here. Right, so the next step is in this option is product details. Right, now product details, I'm choosing a more elaborate option, one which fits the entire screen. Now when I click on a product, it gives me the quick view, and also we have the larger view here. So this is how the actual product page looks like. That again can be controlled from the layout. So these layouts and options are available to me from the visual editor, which can be changed here. So I think we did a decent job in replicating the site that we had here. Alright, so it's just the same thing almost. There are a certain set of options that still has to be done, but it gives you an idea of like how a site or the store is created here. Most of the options are available within, and the options that we currently have are ever increasing as well. Now if in case if you have any questions, please add in your questions, and for the next 5-10 minutes time I would read out each question and answer them. Now it is also important to note that you can also opt for a personalized training. If you're a paid user, it comes as a compliment, like a feature for paid users. So you can book a demo using the link which is shown at the screen right now, and one of our implementation engineer would reach out to you, and this particular demo would be tailored for your own needs, and this particular engineer is going to help you in implementing your store, or like helping you with the initial stage to get online. So you can also access the help documents for Zoho Commerce from the site zoho.com/commerce/help, and we also have a support team working from Monday to Friday 24 hours a day. To reach them, send an email to support@zohocommerce.com, and you would be contacted by the support team either through email, or they would also try and reach you through a call. So thank you all for joining us in our webinar. I hope the webinar was informative, and I really appreciate your patience Till the time we see again in another webinar, I wish you all a great week ahead. Bye bye.